Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to day 3 in my declutter week, where every single day for 7 straight days I have some declutter content for you. And today we're going to be decluttering my blush collection. So I have my cream and powder blushes. I swatch everything, and that is what we are decluttering today. So if you are interested, stay tuned. First, if you have yet to subscribe to my channel and you like project planning content, palette themed content, or just chit chatting about makeup, I'd love if you'd consider subscribing before moving on. And other than that, let's jump into the video. Oh my gosh, I have my Invisalign in and I've been horrible about wearing him, so I feel very lispy right now. But before jumping into this declutter, I just want to say I'm not decluttering 50% of my collection, but I am relatively happy with how this declutter went. My mindset going into this declutter series is that I did not want to keep every single product in my collection. If there were things that were similar shades or similar colors, I'd like to just keep one in that shade. Like if they were like, I don't want to say similar because I have a lot of similarities, but like if things were like almost exact dupes, I didn't want to keep too many of like almost exactly the same product, just because I want a smaller collection to be able to kind of spread my time out amongst these products in a way that I'm getting more use out of them than I feel like I have. At the end of the day, I do create content on YouTube. I love to buy and try new makeup as well, so in no way am I a minimalist, nor am I trying to get to a minimalist collection. There's a lot of blush to go through today. I keep a lot of blushes. I still have a lot of blushes, but that's kind of my mindset going in. And if you guys are wondering what I do with decluttered makeup, I have so many friends that I work with that love makeup too, so I usually just bring my bin of makeup in and let people kind of grab what they want. I also share with my friends and family, so this makeup is not going into the trash. It is just getting rehomed. So that is all I have to say. Let's jump into the declutter. It is about to get so interesting because this is just my cream blushes. It's so crazy. I feel like I've been making progress on my blush collection, and then I was like pulling everything out for this portion of my declutter series, and I'm like, oh my absolute goodness gracious, I have so many blushes. Now granted, I have been so fortunate to get a lot of cream blush formulas in, like a lot actually, in PR. But we're gonna go through, we're gonna swatch everything. I kind of have everything laid out pretty willy-nilly, just because I really want to swatch like by colors, not necessarily by brands, because I don't want to have too many repeating colors. As I hope I mentioned in the introduction, which I haven't filmed the intro for this portion of the declutter series yet, hopefully I mentioned to you that really my blush preferences these days, I love a neutral blush, something that's almost skin colored, but either warm leaning or cool leaning. And then I also really like a like peachy coral blush too. In years past, I've been so into like a sunburnt blush, which I'm kind of getting away from, but those are kind of like my blush preferences. But I do want to have like a variety of shades as well. I like to have options. So let's jump into just a couple of things just to get them like out of the way that I know I'm gonna declutter. This one from Kaja. This is in the shade Saucy. I just don't want to have something that's this bulky in my collection, especially because it's not like it's my favorite formula ever either. So this, I know I'm decluttering this. That is getting the boot. Of course my air would turn on right now. I don't know that you can hear it though. Hopefully you can't, and it usually turns off pretty quickly. Okay, then okay, I feel like of course it's loud. I'm turning it off. Okay, I feel as though kind of like deeper, more like mauve blushes I don't have a ton of. I'm gonna have to take my watch off. So maybe we can jump into this kind of shade of blush next. So up first, I have this shade Encourage from Rare Beauty, and obviously that is like a heavy swatch, but this is a really beautiful formula. This is the glowy formula from Rare Beauty. I know they have a glowy and a matte, and I do think that that is so pretty. Oh my gosh, you guys, I already filmed, I don't know if it'll be up before or after this video, but I already filmed my bronzer and highlighter, and when I was swatching the highlights, it was literally driving me crazy because you like literally couldn't see anything. But I don't know, like it's just like an awkward angle to film at, so I'm so sorry, but hopefully you can see some. And I also am like, I should swatch on this arm because anyway, okay, maybe I will swatch on the arm that doesn't have the tattoos. Well, we're gonna try, at least try that, even though then I'm like using my non-dominant hand. Okay, there we have Rare Beauty Encourage, did I say? Yes, Encourage. Really, really beautiful shade. What are some other, I know I have, okay, I have Raspberry Beret from Merit, which is also kind of like this deeper plum purple. And I actually swatched both of these on my cheeks. Like I did one on one cheek, one on the other day, kind of in preparation for my declutter, and knowing these were similar and trying to decide if there was one I would potentially be willing to declutter. I asked my daughter which side of my face she liked better, or which blush she liked better, and she did say Encourage from Rare Beauties. And I also have other Merit blushes that I'll definitely be keeping. So I am going to declutter Raspberry Beret from Merit. And I'm trying to think, I don't even know if I've opened this one from Glossier. Oh, I have. Okay, so this is the Cloud Paint in the shade Eve. I don't think that this is gonna be super similar because Eve is like very deep. I really want the shade, I think it's like Storm. Ooh, that's deeper even than I thought, but how much will this sheer out? Ooh, that is like, ooh, I don't know. Oh. That's like such a bad swatch. I feel like that does not do this formula justice. Oh, do I want... A part of me like wants to keep it because I do feel like it's like a unique shade. A part of me wants to go swatch it on my face right now with like a very sheared out brush. I think I might do that quick. Okay, this is pretty, and I feel like the hoarder in me wants to keep this, but the realist in me thinks that when I'm reaching for a blush shade that's kind of in this color story, it's usually during colder weather, and I just even still don't reach for this type of a blush shade that frequently. So if I feel like I want a shade like this, I feel like I can just reach for the Rare Beauty Encourage. So I think I'm actually going to also declutter Eve. And then I'm not quite sure, oh, that's right, I have two Say Chilies. I meant to give one of these to my sister, but I'm gonna quickly swatch Chili. I don't think Chili's, yeah, it's definitely more like pink rather than mauve. So not super similar, but also like a little bit. No, definitely more pink. Anyway, I only need to keep one chili. I'm gonna give my sister the little mini chili. Should I give my sister the big chili and keep mini chili? I don't know, Hannah, you tell me. Right now I'm gonna give you mini chili, but if you want big chili, let me know. So we're gonna keep the big Say Chili. I'm also definitely keeping, well, I want to use those to swatch next to other things. I don't think, oh, I know. I have Rose Inks Camellia. This one is also kind of in this kind of mauve sort of category. Sorry if that's like the most annoying swatch, but I just feel like if it's just a finger swatch, it's like much more heavy than it actually would translate on the cheeks. This is definitely not as pigmented as Encourage, and a little bit almost more purple. I do really like the Rose Ink formula. I am going to keep this one around. I would like to, it's my only Rose Ink blush, so I would like to keep that. And then, let's see, I have Raspberry Sparkler from Kaja. This is their Dewy Bar. I do really like the Dewy Bars, but I will say there's other shades I think I prefer, and I don't feel like I need all 6 of these. Yeah, that one is definitely more of like that kind of raspberry or berry purple sort of shade. Definitely not a shade I feel like I would get a ton of use out of, so I am going to pass along the Kaja Dewy Bar in Berry Sparkler. I think that might be it for like blushes in this color story. So I'm gonna wipe my arm off and we will move on to the next. I realized I missed laying out a few of my blushes. Okay. Let's move on to, well, let's swatch this one right here. This is from Glossier. This is in the shade Spark. This, oh, I haven't even opened this one yet. This is like red. And I just, again, feel like if I'm wanting a sunburnt blush these days, I'm liking something more like even like something just like more orangey rather than like a true red. So I'm going to, because I haven't even opened Spark yet, I'm gonna pass that one along as well. Let's move on to like here. I have the Pinkgasm from Charlotte Tilbury, which is this really beautiful kind of pinky golden sort of shade. Not golden, but like pink sparkly, almost like a golden sort of shift to it. It is pretty similar to Melon Mojito from Bite Beauty. I'm regretting using, oh my gosh. I am regretting swatching with this hand. Oh, I got way too much of that. Way too much. Okay, there is Bite Beauty. Oh, wow. Bite Beauty Melon Mojito. I am gonna keep both of those. I'm gonna keep swatching though. I do feel like they are different enough. Plus I'm currently trying to pan this one and I really like Charlotte Tilbury Pinkgasm. So I am keeping both of those. I don't know if I have anything else that's gonna be like truly like pink with a golden sort of shift. Let me just swatch maybe a couple more neutral shades here. So here is, I think this is Rosy from Say. Yes, this is Rosy. So this really beautiful kind of matte light pink sort of shade. Really beautiful and kind of just like sheared out, really gives like a beautiful pink natural flush to the cheeks. I really like the Say Dewy Blush formula. So I'm gonna keep Rosy, and then I also wanna swatch, let's see. I wanna swatch Fenty's Petal Poppin', which I do believe I will keep, but I feel like this could be kind of similar to, there's like a fuzz there. Kind of similar, but really not that similar to Rosy. Yeah, that's definitely way more, I don't know if I'd say way more pink, just a different shade of pink altogether. I love Petal Poppin', so definitely keeping Petal Poppin' as well. What else do we think is gonna be kind of like in this? I feel like that's gonna be more of like a well, I guess we're going with pinks right now. Okay, this is Strawberry Sorbet from Kaja, and that is a dewy bar. Okay, that is more of like, I'm gonna call this like a pink sunburn, like definitely more of like a sunburnt in a pink sheen sort of tint. Actually don't feel like that's super similar to anything else that I have, and I don't feel like I have like a true pink sunburn sort of blush. So I actually think I'm gonna keep Strawberry Sorbet. The Glossier Cloud Paint in the shade Puff, I recluttered into my collection, and I feel like through this declutter series, I should learn that not a lot of reclutters stay. I feel like Puff is kind of similar to, pretty similar to Petal Poppin'. And I just, they're not quite the same, obviously, but they're similar enough. And I just think that the Petal Poppin' formula is just a little bit easier to work with. I think just in general for me, I think a cream blush is a little bit easier than a liquid blush. So I'm going to re-declutter the Puff, the Glossier Cloud Paint in Puff. And then do I want to wipe my arm off yet? I know that I have some pinks. Let's see. Okay, I have this blush from Lawless. This is in the shade Valentine. This is their new cream blush formula. There's Valentine, which is like definitely a unique blush shade. I'd be curious. I'm gonna grab my Patrick Ta Major Holiday Face Palette. I'd be curious how this swatches next to one of the Patrick Ta shades. So I want to swatch that next to this shade out of the Major Holiday palette from Patrick Ta. They are a little bit different than I was expecting. This is more of like true pink, whereas this has a little bit more purple to it. I'm like, do I need both? Probably not. I just feel like that's kind of unique that it has almost that like purple undertone to it. Oh, well then I'm like, okay, if I put this powder shade, which has a bit of a purple, oh boy, that's a swatch. I don't feel like I need both. I am keeping my Patrick Ta Major Holiday Face Palette that's like in my collection. So I am going to pass along Valentine from Lawless. I will keep some of the other shades, so I just don't feel like I need to keep everyone. I've already passed a couple of these along to my mom and sister. Oh, then I have the shade Cherry Pie, which let's swatch Cherry Pie. I wonder if that's kind of similar to that Dewy Bar. Ooh, Cherry Pie is definitely like kind of that sunburnt sort of finish. Okay, wait, I'm going on my, I want to do this on my left hand. Oh. Okay, there's cherry pie, like a thick swatch. There's the dewy bar and strawberry sorbet. I almost think I like strawberry sorbet just a little bit better because it's a little bit dewier, and I just like something a little bit dewier, even though they're not the same, but they're similar enough. I think I'm also gonna pass along Lawless cherry pie. Okay, I believe that's everything for kind of like the, aside from my cool tone pinks. We can do cool tone pinks next, but they are different than these warmer toned pinks. All right, let's bust through my cool tone pinks really quick. Okay, so I have Gumdrop from Lawless, which we are gonna swatch right there. So there is Gumdrop. I wore this on my cheeks the other day and I thought it was actually such a beautiful cool toned pink shade. Then I have Baby from Say. I really enjoy Baby. It has a bit of almost like a lilac undertone. All right, there is Baby. So those two are pretty similar. This one has just a hint more of like a lilac undertone, and it's obviously a bit more sheer and dewy. And then I also have Bubble from Persona, and I have Bubble in both the cream blush formula as well as the powder. There is Bubble. So all three of those pretty similar. I feel like the Lawless definitely has like the most opacity to it. I am going to declutter Bubble just because I do have the powder formula of this, and I'm much more likely to reach for the powder formula over the cream. And I am going to keep Lawless, Gumdrop, as well as Say Baby. So I don't feel like I need to keep all three, but we'll be keeping two of them. So those are my cool tone pink. Okay, I do have this one from RMS. This is the Lip to Cheek in the shade Spell. I used to love this. This really is just this like really nudie neutral blush shade, which is actually really like my vibe. Let's see what else we have to compare this to. I have the NYX Sweet Cheeks blush in the shade Nude Tude. I also really like Nude Tude. I feel like that one is a little bit more, a little bit more opaque, but those two are pretty similar actually. And I do feel like this one has more wear time, but this one is like a little bit glowier, but those actually really are quite similar. And then I have Terracotta from Merit, which is also kind of like this nude, but Terracotta is definitely a little bit warmer. I'm definitely keeping Terracotta. I really like Terracotta from Merit. And then since we are swatching like these nudie neutral, I will also swatch REM's Stage Mom, which is again kind of like a warmer toned nudie blush, but this really is like my vibe. Like I really like these nude leaning blushes. So I will also keep Stage Mom. I'm definitely going to keep the Sweet Cheeks Nude Tude. I'm just kind of like on the fence with the RMS one. I like it because it has that glow to it, whereas this one is definitely more matte. And this one is like more of like a nudie, almost like cool toned nude, whereas these are two warm tones. What else do I have? I have Fox from Merit. What does Fox swatch like? Okay, Fox is not like super similar. Or is it? Or is it? And then I also have Beverly Hills from Merit, which is not the same, but like, is it the same? Okay, I thought when I pulled all these out that I was gonna declutter the RMS Beauty one, but swatched, I'm like, okay, this really just is like my vibe right now. So I actually do want to keep this. I don't want to declutter just to declutter, so I'm gonna keep that one. I also am going to be keeping Fox from Merit and Beverly Hills. I'm currently working on hopefully completing Beverly Hills this year, so those two will stay. And then I also just realized I have Fenty Glow, which I didn't swatch. Fenty Glow looks like that. I'd actually be curious how Fenty Glow compares to Terracotta. Fenty Glow definitely has like some sparkle running throughout. Then I'm like, okay, is Terracotta like just, like, does it sheer out really to just really too much of nothing? Kind of. Oh, but I do just like, oh, I'm gonna keep both for now. Keeping both. And then actually, speaking of nude blushes, I have Cranberry Cooler. Look how disgusting that looks. But I really do love this blush. So this one is from Kaja. It is one of their dewy bars. And this one is this really beautiful kind of like red brown sort of shade. There it is swatched right there. I really like this. This is my favorite shade from the Kaja line. So I'm gonna keep that. And I don't really think that is, like, I'm curious how similar this is to. This one is Fig Smoothie, which I guess I probably, oops, yikes. I probably could have swatched Fig Smoothie with some of the other mauve shades. Wow, that was a heavy swatch. I feel like Fig Smoothie is probably similar enough to like encourage from Rare Beauty. And actually, I realized too, I have from Lawless this shade right here, which is kind of like a cool, this is more of like a cool toned neutral pink, so not super similar, but I'm going to declutter the Fig Smoothie from Kaja. This one swatched right here from Lawless, the shade Angel, I will keep. Oh, and I totally forgot about my Patrick Ta duos. So I have She's So LA, which this is like a brown tone neutral. I've recluttered this. I feel like I decluttered this one, definitely to declutter. I definitely will keep that in my collection. I do really enjoy, like I said, like a nude blush shade. So I'm gonna keep that one from Patrick Ta. I feel like that just leaves us with my oranges and corals. There's definitely some oranges and corals that are more intense than others. So I'm gonna start with this one from Rare Beauty. This is in Joy. So there's Joy swatched out right there. Really beautiful blush. Definitely giving like sunburnt vibes, like a sunburn, like a corally sunburn. I also have the Say Dewy blush in the shade Poppy, which kind of is giving like the same vibe as the Rare Beauty. But this one definitely is reading like a little bit more reddish pink, while this is reading like more of like a true orange. I kind of want to look at, I feel like these two are very, very similar. This is the Kaja Dewy Bar. Oh, if I did a heavier swatch. This is the Kaja Dewy Bar in Strawberry Sorbet. I guess Strawberry Sorbet is a little bit more pink. I don't think I'm gonna reach for Strawberry Sorbet, even though I know I said like I don't really have a pink sunburnt look. I feel like if I'm looking for a sunburn right now, it's like this would be like close to like a reddish sunburn, and then Joy is more of like an orangey sunburn. Then I also have Huda Beauty's Coral Cutie. I feel like this is, ooh, Coral Cutie is giving like almost the exact same vibe as the Say, kind of. Okay, Coral Cutie and the Say are super similar. I feel like I should only keep one of these. I'm gonna keep swatching though. Okay, this one is Peach Cobbler from Kaja, the Dewy Bar in Peach Cobbler. Ooh, Peach Cobbler I like for like an orange that doesn't feel quite as intense as Joy. So I think maybe for an like for a true orange sunburn, I'm gonna keep Peach Cobbler and I'm going to declutter Rare Beauty Joy. The last Say Dewy Bar I have left to swatch is Grapefruit Gelato. Grapefruit Gelato is not really like a orangey coral. I don't even really know how I would describe that. I'm like, I do have two, I have two Kaja Dewy Bars already. Do I really need this third one? I did use Grapefruit Gelato a lot already, so I feel like that's where I'm like, do I want to keep that? I probably don't. I'm like, I'm already feeling still overwhelmed with how much blush is here. I have Lawless Starburst, which I really like. There's Lawless Starburst, definitely like a lighter coral situation. and definitely more matte than the Kaja Dewy Bar, but like a lighter corally orange than the Rare Beauty. I'm definitely keeping Starburst from Lawless. I have more orange blush. I have the Danessa Myricks cream blush in the shade Bellini. This one is like very pigmented and intense. I'm also gonna swatch. I have Melt Golden Hour. I love Melt Golden Hour. It's definitely more of like, Melt Golden Hour is almost like a peach highlight, but I really love Melt Golden Hour. I will definitely keep Melt Golden Hour. I'm looking at the Danessa Myricks, and while I really like this, I just feel like that's so pigmented, and that is just like not exactly what I'm going for anymore. I think I actually will declutter the Danessa Myricks Bellini, just because I feel like I'm gonna get more use out of, like, if I'm wanting something orangey, I'm either gonna reach into Starburst, which just feels a little bit more approachable, or if I want something a little bit dewier, I would reach into Peach Cobbler from Kaja. Okay, I do have both She's the Moment and She's So LA from Patrick Ta. I'm gonna wipe my arm off again, even though I kind of wanna compare. Well, I'm just gonna wipe my arm off. Okay, here is Do We Know Her? At least the cream part of Do We Know Her. And then here is the cream part of She's the Moment. And these two are so similar. But this one is definitely a little bit more orangey, whereas this one has a little bit more pink in it. I'm gonna keep both. I am gonna keep both. Then I'm like, I do want to keep, I really do like this Kaja Dewy Bar and Peach Cobbler. I'm like, do I need Peach Cobbler? But I do, yeah, I do really like that one. Even though that's very similar, but maybe a little bit more sheer than the Patrick Ta. So anyway, keeping both of these Patrick Tas. And then I think, oh yeah, I want to decide between the Say and the Huda Coral Cutie. I think I'm actually going to declutter Say Poppy. I do really like this, but because these are so similar, and I do have 3 other Say blushes in my collection, I kind of want to keep the Huda Beauty formula just kind of for reference. Like if I'm picking between the two, I'd like to, and I like both of them, I'd like to keep the Huda Beauty so that I have this for like formula reference, and I already have a bunch of other Say blushes. So I'm gonna declutter Say's Poppy. I do really like that shade. I would recommend it. Just don't feel like I need all of these in my collection. Then I have Fenty Beauty's Strawberry Drip, which, oh, Strawberry Drip is probably similar to, if I want like a pinky sunburn. I'm just curious, just so you guys can see how similar that is to Strawberry Sorbet. Was this Strawberry Drip? Oh yeah, they're both strawberry. That is Kaja's Strawberry Sorbet, and then that is Fenty Beauty's Strawberry Drip. I'm gonna keep Strawberry Drip. I absolutely love this blush, and I love the Fenty cream blush formula. Then the only other cream blush I have left in my collection to share is this one from Makeup by Mario. This is in the shade Earthy Pink. I forgot to swatch this with my pinks, but I love this shade. It's almost kind of like a cool toned mauve-y pink. It's really beautiful. I find it to be really flattering on my skin, and I really like this one, so definitely keeping this. Okay, let's see how we did in the cream blush category. Okay, there are 16 cream blushes that we're decluttering, which felt really good to me. Then I got over here and I was like, okay, there's 27 cream blushes that we're keeping, and that still does just feel like so many cream blushes. Oh, but there's like nothing. I'm not going to declutter just to declutter. I am hoping maybe that I can finish up this cream blush this year and this cream blush, so maybe we would move 2 out of my, but I should really stop buying cream blush. Anyway, decluttering 16, keeping 27 cream blushes. Okay, let's move on to the powder. We are on to powder highlights. Honestly, I'm like, do I have less powder highlights now than I do cream highlights? I also will say I do feel pretty attached to a lot of my powder blushes. If I was saying highlights, I meant blushes. So I feel like this is going to be extremely difficult. I am first gonna say this one right here, which is reflecting off me, is going to be a declutter, so we'll get this one out of the way. This is from Iconic London, and this is in the shade Kissed by the Sun. I thought I was buying a different shade, and while I think this is really pretty, it just is not, like, that is just not a good shade for like my skin tone, especially being that it is more of like a blush topper. I'm like, okay, maybe I'll swatch it over here. Can we see that? Can we? I would like want you guys to be able to see. Like it is. Well, now that I'm like shearing it out, okay, hold on, I'm gonna go put this on my cheeks. Okay, I'm so sorry to do this to you. I lied. I'm actually going to keep this blush. It is this really beautiful kind of like orange. It's very like highlighty and metallic. It's like a blush topper, but that is so freaking pretty, and I need to use that. I just put it on my cheeks and I'm like, okay, I actually really like that. Okay, never mind, this is staying. And oh, I should swatch things in like color stories now. So, oh, I also don't know if I have like a lot of other like warm orangey sort of blushes. Kiss of Copper would not be similar at all, but we know I'm keeping Bare Minerals Kiss of Copper. I absolutely love this blush. And actually, that being said, I'm gonna swatch Honest Beauty's Foxy next to Kiss of Copper because I'm pretty sure these are like kind of similar. Okay, kind of, but also not. But I also feel like Foxy kind of reminds me of like NARS Orgasm, and I just feel like I never feel inclined to reach for this blush. I have no qualms with like the formula or anything on this. I just feel like it's not one I get excited to reach for, and it just kind of sits in my collection. So I'm going to declutter this Foxy, Honest Beauty Foxy. Okay, let's see. Okay, so from Give Beauty, I have Stars Aligned, which is a which is a powder blush duo. This is new to my collection, kind of goes in the same, oops, sorry, that was not the correct thing. There we go. Kind of similar color stories, or kind of like similar-ish to some of the ones that I've just swatched. Actually, now I'm like looking and I'm like, okay, would I actually be going for something that metallic on the cheeks? Like that looks more like a highlighter to me, but like it would be too deep of a highlight. I mean, that is so pretty though as a highlight. Okay, I'm keeping this for now. Maybe I would declutter Foxy by the end of the year. I need to use it a little bit before I feel confident in that. I'm definitely keeping Stars Aligned. I really, really, really like that blush. Let's see. I don't know how similar the Charlotte Tilbury. This is the Pillow Talk Intense Cheek to Chic. There's the Cheek to Chic, and I always just use this where I just like swirl everything together, and that is what I get the blush shade to look like. Again, just really right up my alley in terms of just like a nudie, neutral sort of blush shade. Love this, definitely keeping. I'm also going to swatch this next to one of my other favorite blushes, which is Laura Mercier's Fresco. Now, Fresco is definitely like more of just like a true nude. I absolutely love Fresco. It has a bit of like, oops, glitter particles running throughout, but I don't really notice them on my cheeks, and it's just like, it's almost just like your blush but better. Like it's so natural to like my personal skin tone. I absolutely love this blush, so I'm definitely keeping that. I'll also swatch MAC's So Natural, which I love. This is actually, I should have swatched this maybe with like my cream blushes, because it is like a cream formula. And again, this is like extremely similar to kind of Laura Mercier's Fresco, but this one is a cream formula, and that it is just so light and natural on the cheeks. I absolutely love MAC's So Natural. And then I'll also swatch Tarte's Concept. I feel like I recluttered this one into my collection. But I was like going through the declutter bin that was at my mom's house, and I was like, okay, this blush is literally like right up my alley for what I'm loving right now, which is just a nude blush. This one almost on the skin leans a little bit pinkier than I would anticipate, but I absolutely love this one too, so I'm definitely keeping that. Then I can swatch MAC's Warm Soul, which again is kind of like a nudie blush. There's MAC's Warm Soul. This one is definitely more warm tone. Again, I feel like you can like barely see that swatched on the skin, but that is what I've just been absolutely loving for the blush. I feel like I can definitely see the dome starting to like go down a bit on my MAC Warm Soul, which makes me so happy, but this one is also definitely staying. A neutral blush that I know I'm going to declutter is this one from Physicians Formula. This is in Pink Sands. This one I'm actually going to swatch on my other arm just because I don't plan to swatch really anything next to this one. It is, again, kind of what I've been talking about. A little bit maybe more on the pinkish side though, and I like something a little bit more like brown toned. Plus, I just do not love the bulky packaging that comes with this product. So I'm going to declutter this. Speaking of like a nude blush that's almost like a bronzer, I have this one from MAC, which I did reclutter into my collection again, just because I've been loving a blush in this shade. This is from the Melrose launch, or the I think it was Melrose, or was there a blush named Melrose? This blush is called Fashion District. So I'm gonna keep that. I'm also definitely keeping Buxom Seychelles, which is more of like a cool toned nude blush. There it is, swatched right there. This one is really beautiful because it has a bit of a sheen to it and isn't a totally matte blush, which I personally love. I have used the heck out of this blush and nowhere near pan. One of my favorite blushes of all time, so definitely keeping that. Okay, I promise we are getting the nudes out of the way right now, which is why maybe I'm having even a tougher time decluttering. But I have, okay, so I have Becca Songbird, which is this warm toned blush right here, which, okay, as I keep going through these I'm like, I definitely don't need to keep this. I'm not gonna use this, the Iconic London. It is so pretty, but it's way too metallic for me. It's definitely more of like a highlighter. Like, I'd rather reach for Becca Songbird. I know they're not like the same, but they're kind of the same. Okay, I am gonna declutter Kissed by the Sun from Iconic London. Oh, Kissed by the Sun, the name makes me want to keep it. I'm decluttering it, okay. I need to stop. But I am gonna keep Becca Songbird, and then in that same vein, I have Becca Wild Honey. And if you guys are wondering, I feel like I've decluttered one of these blushes, Songbird. I think I have decluttered before. There's Wild Honey, which Wild Honey is like, oh, my perfect warm matte blush shade. Love that. I kind of want to swatch Songbird next to this orange blush out of my NARS. Okay, that one's definitely more orange. I'm like, do I need... I know I've recluttered Songbird into my collection and then literally do use it, but I'm like, okay, I really feel like if I'm wanting something similar to this, I'd rather reach for like Wild Honey. I do like Wild Honey more than Songbird. I feel like I actually am ready to let go of Songbird again. So I'm gonna declutter Songbird. I feel like I'm good with decluttering Songbird. We're gonna declutter Songbird. And then let's see, do I have any other bronzy ones? I don't believe I have any other like bronze neutral blushes. Okay, let's move on to maybe pinks next, and we can end with oranges and corals. Okay, so I have this MAC Glow Play in the shade Cheer Up. This again is a cream formula. I should have included this with my cream blushes. Sorry about that. There is the Glow Play in Cheer Up. That is really pretty, but I just feel like I am not really reaching for a shade like this. And I just feel like I'm forcing myself to reach into this every time that I do reach for this. So I actually think I'm ready to say goodbye to the MAC Cheer Up blush. Yeah, I feel like I'm ready to say goodbye to that one. Another pink in my collection that is more mauve-y. I can swatch this one. This is the Rare Beauty blush in the shade Cheer. And this obviously is more of like a blush topper, very highlighty. I know I was just complaining about like metallic cheeks with that Iconic London. And then I'll swatch this one from RMS Beauty too, because this is more of like a blush topper as well. I actually just recently used the RMS Beauty blush in my chopping block Get Ready With Me, because I was considering decluttering this, but I actually thought this was really pretty on the cheeks. So I'm gonna keep both the Rare Beauty and the RMS blush. And then another pink blush, I have Becca Flower Child, which I think, you guys, I think I'm ready to let go of Becca Flower Child. It's so old in my collection. I again just prefer, like, pink is just not my go-to for a blush. It's not. And it's getting old. It is getting old. I'm ready to say goodbye to Becca Flower Child. All right, we're doing it. We're decluttering Becca Flower Child. Let's look at my Lawless. I don't think these ones are like super, yeah, those are not pink. Okay, we can do the Ofra Samantha March Chick Lit blush. So we have the pink blush, which is a really beautiful kind of cool nude pink. Like that is truly my vibe. And then we have the two kind of mixed together. I never really reach for like this side on its own, but these two mixed together also just such a beautiful, I need to reach for that more often, such a beautiful, kind of exactly what I would be looking for, like a nude, a brownie nude sort of shade with a bit of a spark, or not sparkle, a bit of like a sheen to it. I need to reach for this more. This is literally my vibe these days, so this is definitely staying. Then I have Kiss of Pink from Bare Minerals, and I do love this blush as well. There it is swatched right there. This is really giving kind of like a neutral pink, which if I'm wanting to reach for a pink, it's gonna be more of a neutral pink. So really love Kiss of Pink, and this just kind of like further solidifies like I'm ready to let go of Becca Flower Child. Like I'd rather reach for this pink over this pink. So keeping Kiss of Pink, decluttering, obviously we already decluttered the Flower Child. Then I have Makeup by Mario's Desert Rose. I also absolutely adore this blush because it is kind of this like, mauve-y, cool toned, neutral pink. I think it's so pretty. I don't know if you can even see that swatched right there. Hopefully you can see it just a little bit. But again, just something not super pigmented and just so beautiful. This is also one of my favorite blushes in my collection. I've talked about this a lot. So this one's definitely staying. I do have the MAC Fairly Precious Blush Topper. I absolutely love this. I kind of use this as like a highlight more. Like I really reach for this more as like a pink blush topper slash highlight, and I think it is just so pretty. So I am definitely keeping MAC Fairly Precious. And then let's see, this one kind of reads pretty pink. This is the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Blush in the shade Sublime Flush. Like where can I swatch this? We're gonna go right there. Now this one is definitely more of like a cool toned pink. I again don't know, can you even see that? I'm like can we even see that at all? This is really beautiful though. I love the Hourglass formula because it is not a totally matte formula. And I feel like if I'm wanting like a baby pink sort of cheek, this is so pretty because it's not so stark like cool toned pink, but it just has this really beautiful kind of baby cheek sort of flush to it. I really love this blush, so definitely keeping that. Then I'm like, should I swatch? I'm like, I don't even know how to classify these. So this is Nabla Truth, which is one of my absolute favorite kind of metallic, one of my favorite. I don't know if I would call this even a blush. I really do use this as a blush topper and on its own. There it is swatched right there. It is such a beautiful shade. I absolutely love that. And then I'll swatch it kind of with, okay, so we have Nabla Lola, which is also like a very glowy sort of blush. And I purchased Lola because I loved Truth so much that I really just kind of wanted to own more from Nabla. Like I just wanted more of the skin glazings, but this is just not really a shade that I am reaching for. I feel like it's almost like too deep for me to be so sheeny, or even like no, I don't want to say metallic. Metallic's not the right word, but I think I can confidently declutter Lola. I just don't find myself reaching for that. And then I want to swatch Independence, which is my last Nabla skin glazing blush. So there is Nabla Independence, which is more of this kind of like mauve toned, cooler tone shade. Definitely something I like reaching for more in the winter time. I do actually still really enjoy this, and I feel like this gives a nice glowy sort of winter cheek in my opinion. So I will keep Independence as well as I'm keeping Truth, but we will declutter Lola. And then, okay, speaking of like a berry toned or like a cool toned cheek, I have Berry Juicy from Huda, the Glowish line. And that is, why am I swatching this like in the crook of my elbow? There is that one swatched right there. I definitely want to keep this in my collection just because I don't really have another shade like this, something that's so like berry toned. And I think it is really beautiful for the winter time specifically. So I'm going to keep that one. And I do want to swatch that next to Indian Summer from Lawless, just because they're both kind of in that berry toned family. Interesting. I do like the Lawless blush formula. I want to swatch them. Okay, there are the two swatches down here. This is the Huda Glowish one, and this is the Lawless one. I feel like those are so similar. I'm like, I don't feel like I necessarily need both. And I feel like I would get, like, I feel like Berry Juicy personally would be a little bit more flattering on my skin. I don't know why I'm feeling that way. I do love the Lawless formula though, but I also feel like I don't need both, and I don't know why. I'm just feeling more drawn to the Huda Glowish. So I actually am going to declutter Indian Summer from Lawless. Now I know I'm absolutely keeping my Lawless Angel Suede. This is like one of my favorite blushes in my collection, and I love to layer Angel Suede. Like, how pretty is that? Oh, Lawless does have such a beautiful blush formula because it is not like a totally matte blush. It has this really beautiful sort of satin sheen to it. I freaking love Angel Suede from Lawless, and I love to layer Truth on top of that, but definitely keeping the Lawless Angel Suede. And then I want to swatch Persona Georgia, which is also a blush I get a ton of use out of. That one is a really beautiful kind of orangey coral as well, kind of similar to Lawless Angel Suede, but this one is a little bit brighter, and they both do kind of have a bit of a sheen to it, but I feel like the Persona one is just a little less sheeny, but they both have like just a bit of a sheen to them. Anyway, I'm gonna keep both of them, even if they are super similar. This is like, I love this sort of blush shade. Then I have this one from Cover FX. This is in Peach, Soft Peach, which I recluttered into my collection and actually got a ton of use out of earlier this year, because this is basically like a nude peach, and I really like that. I'm actually gonna put the, and then you have like that if you want it to be a little bit glowier. I actually think this is so pretty, and I'm so glad that I still had this left kind of lying around in my collection. I'm gonna keep this. I feel like I'll still continue to get a lot of use out of that. Then I have Kosas Papaya, which was such a staple and such a favorite when I first got this. I also obviously have a pan in it, and I think I will also be keeping this. Yeah, I really do like that, especially because I feel like this is like kind of more like pinky peach rather than like a true orangey peach. So I'm definitely going to keep Papaya from Kosas, and that just means the last remaining powder blush is Persona's Bubble, which I told you guys I was decluttering the cream version because I would rather use the powder. There is the powder. That was, why did I do that? There is the powder version, and that is a really beautiful kind of cool toned pink lilac shade, but you really can sheer that out, and it really does give this really beautiful kind of like pinched cheek effect. I really like this one, so I'm definitely keeping this as well. And we definitely did not do as well in the powder blush category, but let's tally up what we did. We are decluttering 8, keeping 25. That does mean I have less powder blush in my collection than I do cream blush. But that is where we're at. Like I said, I really do feel like I am like attached to some of my blushes, and I don't want to declutter things just to declutter. So if the blush portion was a little bit more disappointing, I am sorry, but hopefully it proves to you that I really do love my blushes. But that is it for the powder blush declutter. Decluttering 8, keeping 25. All right, you guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's blush declutter. I am feeling better, but still like we have a lot of blush in my collection. I'm very excited to see if I'm able to use up potentially a couple of my cream and liquid blushes this year, and I'll be curious to see if I feel the need to declutter anything else before the end of the year. But that is it for my blush declutter. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch. Would love to know in the comments below if you were surprised by anything, and if you've recently decluttered a blush, let me know what it was. Thank you guys so much for sticking around to watch and for supporting me and my channel as you guys always do. I love you guys so much, and I will catch you in tomorrow's video. Bye.